guys, Josh Deal here, and today we're taking a look at the total brutality of Austrian Death Machine. Remember, if you enjoy the lesson, please click the like button and let me know. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates. And as always, don't forget to grab the full note and tab transcription downstairs so you can follow along at home. And now, it's the only way out of here, so let's get to the choppa! Okay, so first things first, we need to get our bass in tune. Austrian Death Machine tunes in E-flat standard, like Slayer, and sometimes like Gwar. All that means is we're going to take our strings down a half step. We're going to lower the E string to an E-flat, or a D sharp, depends on your tuner. It's the same note, just two different names of calling it. The A string is going to come down to an A-flat or a G sharp. The D string comes down to a D flat or a C sharp. And finally the G comes down to a G flat or an F sharp. So let's get right into it. Riff number 1 in the transcription, which is going by at about 190 BPM, is going to look something like this. So I am using a pick because that's what Tim Lambesis would have used when he played this bass part. Being more of a guitar player, you can use your fingers. You're just going to need to get some triplet picking going to cover these fast 16th note gallop rhythms. So we start off with some low notes on the E string. We got 2 16th notes to an 8th, 1 E and, up to the 3rd fret on the A string. Come right back to the 1st fret on the E string. So we got this 5th, this power chord shape. Followed by 2 E 8th notes and then another 2 16ths to an 8th gallop rhythm. Back to the 3rd fret on the A string and then the 1st fret on the E string, followed by 2 more open E's. And then we have 2 of those 16th note gallops on beats 3 and 4. The next 2 measures are going to be very similar to the first 2. They're going to start with a 16th note gallop, 1 E and, 3rd fret on beat 2, 1st fret on the and of 2, 2 open E's on 3 and then a 16th note gallop, 4 E and. Back to the 3rd fret on the A, 1st fret on the and of 1, 1st fret E, 2 more open E's on 2 and then we got a 16th note gallop, 3 E and then this is where it changes. We're going to go up to the 5th fret of the A string and we're going to hammer on to the 7th fret of the A string. So all together so far we've got 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Next section of this riff is going to be almost identical to the first half. The first 3 measures are going to be the same. And then this is where it changes. We're moving up the A string, where in the Phrygian mode, if you're comfortable with your modes, that's the 3rd mode of the major scale, starting on the 5th fret of the A string. We're going to do that 5 to 7 hammer on, open E, 7th fret, hammer on to the 8th fret, open E, and then hammer on to, start on the 8th fret, hammer on to the 10th fret. So that last measure altogether is and then we end on that open E, and that gets us into riff 2. This is also going to form the basis for our verse riff, our riff number 3, which I'll get to in a minute. But this one is composed mainly of these low E string punches, or rather just E punches. We're going to be up on the A string for some of them. So we start with a hit right on beat 1 of the first measure, then we're going to rest for 3 beats, then we have this moving line in time with the guitar. So we start on the 7th fret of the A, to the 5th fret, back to 7, up to 8, back to 7, then 5, and then we end on 7 on beat 1 of the next measure. And rhythmically, it's going to be 1 and 3 and 1. So a lot of 8th note to quarter note back to 8th note rhythms. After we land on that 7th fret of the A string, we rest for 3 beats again, and we're going to do the same rhythm in the 4th bar, but we're just going to change the notes a little bit. 7 on the A string, to 5, back to 7, up to 10 this time, down to 8, and then quick to the 5th fret, and bring it back to 7. So we've got 1 and 3 and 1. Again, same rhythm. Rest for 3 beats, then we play the first variation of this riff again. 7, 5, 7, 8, 7, 5, 7. And then we're going to rest for only 2.5 beats this time. The bass actually catches the little kick drum fill before the final riff. So on the anda, the last 2 16th notes of beat 4, we're going to catch the low E string and right to the 7th fret of the A string. Up to the 10th fret, another one on the 10th fret, 8th fret, down to 5, and we're going to resolve to the 7th fret, and that'll get us into the 3rd riff. The rhythm on this last bar in riff number 2 is also a little different. It's all off beats except for the first one. 1 and 1. So that last little bit is. If you find that you are having trouble skipping around the strings on that last riff, if you can't make it from the 2 16th notes up to the next string with your pick or with your fingers, you can actually play this riff all on one string to make it a little bit easier. So instead of starting on the 7th fret of the A string, you're going to start on the 12th fret of the E string, and you would go 12, 15, 15, 13, 10. That'll make it a little bit easier to get to that riff. And that brings us into riff number 3. This is the main riff, the verse riff of the song, and it's going to be identical to riff number 2, except instead of resting through those alternating measures, we are going to tremolo pick some 16th notes on the low string. This is probably the most difficult, the most exhausting part of the song because you're just flying away on that E string at all times. But rhythmically, the little fills that break it up, the ones that line up with the guitar, are exactly the same. And then all of those. So the first measure is going to start on that 7th fret of the A string that we just ended on in riff 2. And we're going to jump immediately down to the low E string. And we're going to fill in the rest with 16th notes. So rhythmically it will be 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and into that next part of the riff, which I played pretty slow there just to line up with the rhythm. just going to repeat. It's always going to be 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, followed by the higher moving lines that we found in riff 2, and that's all going to repeat twice, and then we get into riff number 4. This is just a little post-verse kind of bridge riff to build us up into the chorus. We also come down to about 169, so the tremolo picking, the little gallops are going to get a little bit easier. So we just ended on that moving line at the end of riff number 3. So again, we start on the 7th fret of the A string like we usually do. We will break down to 8th notes for this one. It'll be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. All 8th notes on that 7th fret. On the and of 4 in that second measure, you're going to jump down to the open E string, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then we will have that little moving line that we had at the end of riff number 1, the Phrygian mode. So again, that's 5, hammer on to 7, open E, 7, hammer on to 8, open E, 8, hammer on to 10. So that riff number 4 altogether is going to be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and if you want the punch and the drive on this one, you can do it as all downstrokes, thrash style. If you find that your hand's getting a little bit tired at this point in the song, you can alternate, and the sound isn't going to be that much different. It'll still get you through it. As opposed to pretty close. And that gets us into riff number 5, the chorus part, the breakdowny metalcore section of this. Rhythmically, it's going to look like this. So all we're doing is we are catching the low part of the riff with the guitars, but we are leaving out the higher part for right now, that the guitar is doing. We're just leaving that out. If that helps you to keep the rhythm straight, that's usually what helps me keep the rhythm straight. I just imagine that I'm playing the guitar part, but I'm leaving out those high rhythms. Actually, counting the rhythms on this one, it's going to be 1 E and, rest on beat 2, and the top of beat 3, we come back in on the and of beat 3, and then 4 E and. Then we're going to rest on beat 1, and the first half of beat 2, we'll come back in on the and of beat 2, and then 3 E and, rest on beat 4. So far we've got 1 E and, 2, 3 and 4 E and, 1, 2 and 3 E and 4. The next riff is, or the next bar is going to be the same as the first bar. 1 E and, 2, 3 and 4 E and. Then we are going to rest through the whole 4th bar while the guitar is going. The bass actually stays out of that. Next half of the riff is identical to the first part of it. We just add in that moving line that the guitar does at the end. So the second line of riff number 5 is going to be 1 E and, 2, 3 and 4 E and, 1, 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 E and, 2, 3 and 4 E and. Up that, and then the second part of the chorus where the bass actually joins in with the guitars is just riff number 1, no changes, no adornments. And finally that gets us into riff number 6. This is the breakdown section that gets us out of the song, the Get to the Choppa section. The bass stays out of it for the first part of it. When the drums really kick back in, that's when the bass will rejoin it. And rhythmically, it's going to be all on the low E string, doing a lot of these 16th note gallops broken up by 8th notes. So the first part, or the first two measures, are going to be 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1. Then we're going to rest for the rest of that bar. We will do that again. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1. We'll rest through that bar again, and then we will pick it up to match with the guitars. So we're going to start the same way. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1. Except we're going to keep going here. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So we've got that whole second line of riff number 6. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. I'm going to do much the same thing on the third line. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1 and 2 E and then this is where it changes. We just hit 4 8th notes in a row, 3 and 4 and. So that whole last line in time is going to look like this. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and that's it. There it is, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to click the like button and let me know if you did. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates. You can leave me your comments and questions downstairs as well, and I do my best to get back to those. And if you haven't done so already, grab that full note and tab transcription so that you can practice this one at home. And until next time,